All right. Lesson for today is classroom management. Everybody's got a different way of doing it, but there's some basic concepts that you have to understand about what you're trying to accomplish with classroom management. If you're not managing the classroom, you're not typically teaching. And so to help some people out there that might just be learning the ropes, some of the new teachers, this is the basic concept. What you have to do is realize the behavior, and I'm just coming up with this as I go. The behavior that you're targeting. This is your targeted behavior. And how you want them to behave. If they can reach this, there's only one reason why they can reach this. They're not going to behave on their own. You have to make them behave. How do you make them behave? You make it worth their while. Okay, so this is some nice things that you will do if they behave well. And these are some consequences. And what you want to do is you want to make the consequences strong enough so that they would not want to misbehave. Okay, so they're saying, okay, I'm a little bit afraid of these consequences that my teacher, Mr. Eric the Elephant, is going to put down on me if I do not behave according to this target behavior. So say you want silence. If your target behavior is silence, how do you get silence? Well, you give them a consequence. Say, for example, you will take 1 point away or 1 smile away from their entire class. And I still work my smiley stick, and this is something I invented a while ago. But it's a stick that has a bunch of smiles, and so what I do is I give the kids up to 30, I give the kids 12 smiles a day. That's their salary. And so the nice thing that I'll give them is smiles. Some people might give them marbles, some people might give them, stars. I just give them smiles. So I give them 12 smiles a day, and there's a reason why I say I'm going to give you 12 smiles a day. This is specifically how my system works. So you're going to earn, I like to say 12 because it's a dozen. And the reason why I like to do that is because I say, okay, I'm going to give you 12 smiles today. You can earn a salary up to 12 smiles. And the way that we do that is for every table, for every team, we got the red team, orange, yellow, green, blue. So we have 5 teams of 6 students, so we have 30 students. And they earn tally marks throughout the day for good behavior. So there's another thing. They get tally marks that lead to smiles. The tally marks lead to smiles. So as I'm tally marking, and I use a different color every time I tally mark because I have like a bunch of different colors, it helps me keep track of how many different incidences that they had of goodness. And so I'll like tally mark in the beginning of the day because they're sitting nicely, they came in nicely, they finished getting ready by 8:35 because they're I open the door at 8:30, so they better be ready by 8:35. If they can do that and increase their efficiencies, then I will give them a tally mark. So I said, okay, you guys, great job on that. Then when I started talking, they started listening immediately, so I gave them a blue tally mark. Then I said, well, you know what, you were working with our music for minors docent so perfectly, and it's more important for you to behave well in front of other teachers than it is even for me. So if you are making me look good, and the kids made me look really good on Friday, so I said, okay, you guys, during the presentation, I gave them 2 red tally marks. And then after the presentation by the music for minors docent, I said, okay, that was fantastic. You guys did a great job. I'm impressed. You were quiet. You were respectful. You waited for your you were just phenomenal. You didn't talk over the teacher, and that's very important, not to talk over the teacher. So when she was done with her presentation, then I went up in front of the classroom because in the middle I had already given them 2 tally marks. I said, you know what, you guys were so phenomenal. Usually I'll only give you 3 tally marks overall for working with another teacher, but I'm going to give you an extra 2. And that was what the black tally marks were over here. And then so throughout the day I just keep giving more tally marks, and if they earn their own tally marks without my assistance, and they just force me to give them 12 tally marks, I call that a perfect dozen. If I have to, at the end of the day, look at it and say, did you guys really earn your salary? How will I know whether they earned their salary? Well, I just start saying, well, okay, you guys explain to me, give me evidence that you earned your salary. And they'll say, oh, well, Our floors were clear. Are they clean? Yeah, the floors were clean. I didn't give them tally marks for that yet, so I'm gonna make sure when they come in on Monday, that they're gonna see, oh, okay, he took care of that. And so, but I didn't, if they misbehave, or yesterday actually there was a negative 2 times when it was negative, when I took away one entire smile. It's because I asked for absolute silence during a test and kids kept talking at the tables. So, this will neutralize some of the smiles over here, and by the end of the day or the next day, we'll just count how many how many smiles they earn. Every 5 of these will earn 1 smile. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then that would be 9, and then that would be 10, and then 1 left over, and then you subtract 2, and then we still have to come up with more reasons why they deserve it. But eventually, what happens is after they earn enough smiles, and I don't even tell them how much is enough, but I say every trimester they might earn a party, and so that's what they'll do. They'll earn a party per trimester. It's like a movie party. We'll watch a movie that's relevant to our curriculum or relevant to things that we say. Like I might decide to do Lilo and Stitch because we have this thing in our class called the Ohana principle where no one gets left behind or forgotten. And when I see instances of that, I give a tally mark. So there's rewards. There's nice things that you do. You gotta make those rewards interesting to the kids. It's gotta be for the kids. And if you do that, you've created this range. I like to call it the range. In classroom management, which is, I said again, the most important thing. It'll make your life easier, even though it's a lot of work to get kids to behave well. You must develop a range between the consequences and the rewards. The greater the range, the more likely they will be to hit that target behavior. But you don't want to it has to be appropriate as well. You're not going to say you're going to expel or suspend somebody as a consequence or send them to the principal. The consequence must be something as simple as peer pressure. For example, if the student doesn't bring work in, or if the student doesn't, if they're talking at the table, while I said absolute silence, and then they get a -1, they'll never make that mistake again, and they'll try not to make that mistake again because they know that it feels really bad, and it also feels really, really good to get the tally marks. So if a kid happens to raise their hand all the time, or if a kid is really outperforming, or one day this one child was helping a new student, and I said, you know what, that's phenomenal. That's what I was talking about. Because in the beginning of the year, no one wanted to help anybody with anything, but after the first month, everyone is so helpful, and they were just treating her like the new student, like amazingly, and just unselfishly, which is part of the love, learn, and lead concept that I explained in the other brainstorm. But yeah, when they show these good things, you've got to reward it, and you've got to be diligent about it. And it may seem like a lot of work, but eventually you train the kids to lead. And I was just an epiphany came to me, and I said, I want to hire somebody. I want a classroom manager to manage these tally marks for me, and I want you to just tally mark it when you think it's equivalent, when you think I would tally mark it. And if you train them well enough, they can do that in 5th grade. But you have to be able to trust somebody to do that, and that'll be later on, something that I'll add to the system. But right now, it's just me explaining why they deserve certain things. Eventually, I'm going to hand this responsibility off to a student, and I'll monitor that they're doing it correctly and they truly are thinking like the teacher. So again, classroom management is very basic. It's a simple concept. You create a range between the rewards and the consequences. You create a system to manage or to keep track of why they deserve the rewards. Then you build up to something. Maybe it's a pizza party at the end of the month, maybe it's a party at the end of the trimester, maybe it's free time at the end of the day. So you have these short-term goals and rewards, and you have the long-term goal and rewards. So sometimes I'll say, for today, I'm going to give you 30 minutes of free math games. So it's something that is actually beneficial to them. So I say, okay, I'm going to give you 30 minutes of free math games or workshop time where you can work on your homework if you get to that perfect dozen, or you get to a dozen at the end of the day. So they'll work even harder to get that for you. You just have to make sure you're putting enough reasonable and appropriate nice things. I'm not saying, pile all kinds of gifts and rewards on them. I don't need any actual material rewards. I've done that in the past. It's not a bad thing. It just depends on what your style is and where you are in your teaching and what you want, what works for you. So think of some good things that make great rewards, make great consequences, and understand that how you create the range between those will bring them closer to this target behavior, whether it be silence, responsibility, or anything else that you want to accomplish with your kids. But unless you have classroom management, you're not really teaching. And every teacher, veteran teacher knows that.